Hi guys, this is Marshal Suchet, and you're watching a match between me and a friend of mine called Emperor Chunter. This is one of my better grassy flats battles. I'm not really that good at fighting on this map, so I've been trying to practice a bit. Anyway, on grassy flats I normally like using the Turks because well, I like their cavalry and it forms a very crucial part of my strategy. I don't normally take artillery, so as you can see I've just got all infantry and cavalry. My army is fairly standard and balanced. I've got the 4 units of Nizam line. I have 4 Janissaries, the Beylik Janissaries with the muskets. I have 3 Sihlatars. I have 1 Sipahi lancer over there. I have the mounted Nizams which are charging up there. The Delhi Cav, and a 3-star general. My opponent, Emperor Chunter, has a similar sort of army, but he's deployed it in a very different way. So, where I have Janissaries in the center, he's gone for sort of like this checkerboard approach. So, Janissary, Nizam, Janissary, Nizam. And there are a few differences in our deployment. I've gone for a long line with my light troops in dense formation on either flank, whereas he's spread his light troops in the center. I used to put my light troops in the center in grassy flats battles, but I think I'm not so fond of doing that now. I don't think it's a very good idea. I generally find that when you win a battle on grassy flats, it's always on the flanks. It's never in the center. At least not if you play well. But anyway, this is a good deployment that he has. It's going to be pretty hard to break his line. There are no real weak spots at this point. So I'm just going to slowly walk up to him. See the Beyliks advancing. My light troops here on the flank. Now when I play on any battle, I try and get my infantry and cavalry working together. I find that this really helps to swing the cavalry fight in your favor. And in this battle, Emperor Chunter has the advantage. He's got 4 units of Sihlatars to my 3. So 2 of them are on this flank here. So in order to counteract this, I'm going to start by firstly massing all my cavalry, or most of my cavalry, on the one flank. So that'll help offset the Sihlatar advantage that he has there. So he has 2 units to my 1. So yeah, the light cavalry should be able to fire into any melee. They should be able to distract his men a bit, and hopefully swing the battle on this flank. Whereas on the other flank, I'm going to advance with my light infantry and try and shoot up his Sihlatars. So I'm dispersing into line. My heavy cavalry behind the skirmishers. So if he charges my lights, I can shoot at him. No, not shoot at him. I can charge at him. Let's see if I can get a few volleys first. So this is the start of the battle. As you can see, I haven't moved my line up yet because I don't have the skirmishers that he has. He probably could have moved up early at this point and might have got a bit of an advantage with his skirmisher screen, but it's hard to do. You've got to coordinate a lot of things at once on grassy flats, so getting a few volleys, he's lost a few troops, and I'm counter-charging. So this should help me win the battle on this flank. My guys haven't suffered as many casualties as his, I think. He's brought up his Nizams. He's forming them in square, which wasn't a great idea because I couldn't charge him at this point. So as you can see, routed 1 unit of Sihlatars and the other one. Now, my guy's gonna run off to the flanks. Get away from that square.
Our men are running, sir.
And he's attacking me on this flank. Caught me a little bit off guard, so I saw him at the last second, so I withdrew. On grassy flats I always try and keep my general with my cavalry, but I don't think that was a very good idea this time. So I'm going to withdraw, fall back on my light infantry here. It's been backed up by some line infantry. And I'll try and shoot down his horses and then countercharge. So as I said, it's very important for you to coordinate infantry moves with cavalry moves, because cavalry on its own really doesn't have much of an impact. You can't really deal with the enemy too well. I've kept these guys in dense formation because it's easy to move them, and I can hide them much more easily behind an infantry square if this goes badly. So I'm firing into melee here, withdrawing with my cavalry. Catching his out in the open, well, they can be shot by my light troops. He's routing. Routing there too, I think. And I'm pulling back, so on both flanks I've rolled him back. And on this flank, I'm gonna try and enfilade him, whilst my cavalry sits back here. So they might be able to pounce on his general later in the battle. He's moved up his line a bit, trying to put me under pressure, but this is going to be pretty indecisive because his troops are firing at long range. But anyway, back to this flank. So I'm charging his troops whilst he's not watching. So I should be able to get the charge bonus and take out what's left of his cavalry. Look at that. He hasn't seen this with his delis, so I'm moving up the lights, shooting them as well. I've got some cavalry behind the lights, so if he charges them, they can countercharge. So they're moving up here. This should be the end of his cavalry. This will give me a big advantage. What's happening on the other flank? Extended out, so I'm flanking his line, firing into it. This is a bit scrappy, but I think my attention was drawn in on that side of the battlefield. But his cavalry are dead. He's done well so far. His only real mistake is to have not supported his cavalry with infantry right at the start. So I'm going to start looking at moving these cavalry. Hopefully I can try and catch him. So yeah, my basic plan was to attack him on the flanks, to try and roll up both sides, which I'm doing here. Bringing up troops to enfilade him. And hopefully my centre will hold, even though it's under a bit of pressure now. I might withdraw it. Not sure if I've done that already. They're firing back. But anyway, hopefully I can win on both flanks, wrap up his line. My centre will hopefully hold, and my cavalry will try and swoop in the back and either take out his Janissaries, which can't form square, or take out his general when he's not watching. So yeah, flanking fire. This is a bit of a lull in the battle, so I think I'll talk a little bit about the Turkish army that I have. I've tried to base it on a historical Turkish army, so not one from 1815, but actually one from 1830, so when the Turks began to modernize their army. I think it was 1830. It was just before the Janissaries revolted, and the Sultan was trying to bring some new troops that could actually fight like European troops in. This line's slowly beginning to crumble. But anyway, when they first started, cavalry charge. Can I get his Janissaries? I think I can. Look at this. Smack. His Janissaries should fold. Anyway, as I was saying, with the new army, can I charge these guys? Yep, they rout. That flank's gone. Now I'm charging his centre. That line's moving out. I don't know how much longer my cavalry can hold out for, but I think this has really messed up his line. I think some of my Janissaries have charged his. So anyway, he's redeploying to this flank. This flank is under pressure. This is an intense firefight. Let's see if I can get his general.
Our men are running for.
So yeah, I've extended out on both flanks with my Nizams. I always have my Nizams on the flanks because I think it's really unusual for an enemy to charge your center. Most of the action happens on the flank. So it doesn't really matter if my center can't form square. I mean, if his cavalry do charge my center, they're going to have troops on all sides shooting at them, so I don't know, I just don't think it's likely.
Our men are running for.
Just overlapping him here. The cavalry are hovering all the way back there. So he's under a lot of pressure. It's just from a couple of units. I'm not committing too many to the fight, holding most of my army back. I've got him in a real bowl. He's trying to charge, but I don't think it's a very good idea. Let's see how far he gets. Not very far. I got into melee. He suffered a lot of casualties. Whenever you charge, you've really got to screen your troops or make sure that your enemy's not shooting at you, or that they can't wrap around you like I will. My Nizam's moving up in the center. He's running out of guys. My cavalry are going to charge him. These guys can't form square, so I can probably kill them off with my cavalry charges. So he's formed square there, but I'm just going to go right around him. Go for the vulnerable troops. And they've routed already. This is a really decisive cavalry charge. Took out a good portion of his army. And his Nizams are stuck in a position where they can either stay in square and get shot at, or they can form line and get killed by the cavalry. Or in that case, rout and get killed by the cavalry. He's forming up a second line here, but I think his battle's more or less over. But he did well. I've been getting more and more practice at grassy flats, and I think the more I do, the better I get. So he did pretty well. He probably hasn't practiced on grassy flats as much as I have recently. His army's just routing. But yeah, so I managed to wrap up both his flanks with some coordinated cavalry and infantry action. I enfiladed his entire line, and I managed to crush his Janissary units with cavalry charges, and that really, I think, sealed the battle.